Next.js 16 just dropped and it is not a minor update. We are talking Turbopack being stable, React compiler being built in, routing that's finally smart, and new caching APIs. In fact, they launched an API that genuinely solved a problem that I've been facing for months. So I am incredibly excited for this specific version. So in this video, let me walk you through all the important features in this version with examples, any improvements made, and also any breaking changes which do exist. So let's quickly dive in. First exciting update is that Turbopack has finally reached stability for both development and production build. It is going to be a default bundler for all applications, and if you want to opt into Webpack, you could do so over here by adding this specific --Webpack parameter. With Turbopack, you're gonna get 2 to 5 times faster production builds, up to 10 times faster fast refresh, which is incredible, and you don't need any config. Like I mentioned, it's gonna be the default. The next update is Turbopack file system caching. Now this is a beta update. It now supports file system caching in development. Now file system caching is gonna keep the build artifacts on the disk itself, and you're going to get near instant restarts. Now this one's going to be huge for monorepos because, as you know, monorepos can get really massive. So Vercel internal apps are already using these features and they're already seeing improvements with Turbopack. In fact, even on X and social media, I see quite a few folks upgrading and seeing improvements. I upgraded my custom course platform that I built on top of Next.js as well today, and I also saw improvements, so this is definitely really huge. Next is React compiler support. We get built-in support for React compiler. Since React compiler is now stable, it is also now stable in Next.js 16 following the release from React itself. You get automatic memoization built right in. You don't need to use memo or use callback. Compiler is going to handle it all. It's not enabled by default yet, but it's only a single flag away, which you should definitely check out over here. That's all you need to add in next config. So I highly recommend it. Next.js 16 has in fact provided us with new caching APIs for explicit control over caching behavior. And one of these APIs have genuinely changed my life. It has definitely helped me a lot. And the first one is revalidateTag. Now, revalidateTag now requires a cache profile. RevalidateTag allows you to tag your cache and then allows you to purge the cache. You can basically purge the tagged cache. Now, this is incredibly useful, especially when you don't want to purge the cache of your entire page. You only want to purge the cache of a specific section in your page. In that case, you can just tag that and then purge it. But now you need to pass in additional cache profiles. What this means is you need to pass in more information such as how long do you want the tags to be cached, when do you want to revalidate them, how long do you want them to exist, expire, and so on. You need to pass that value. For most cases, it's max. That's what they recommend as the default. And max, if you take a look, it's going to be 5 minutes, 30 days revalidation period, and 1 year expiry. But if you want more granular controls, you could do so as well. Now, the use case of this would be blog posts, analytics dashboard, product listing that don't need immediate updates but should eventually revalidate. That's where revalidateTag helps. Now here, revalidateTag works like a stale while revalidate. The old content is served instantly, but Next.js quietly fetches the latest data in the background. That's what you need to know about revalidateTag. Next is updateTag. It's a new server actions only API that provides read your write semantics, expiring and immediately refreshing cache data within the same request. Now, this is huge because you don't need to necessarily request it and then ask to purge it. You could just ask it to expire, like cache and refresh immediately so users can see their changes right away. This ensures interactive features reflect changes immediately. So if you have specific features where you want to see the data right away, then you could do so. You don't have to necessarily cache it for a specific period and then ask it to refresh and all of that. An example would be user settings, profiles, dashboards, anywhere the user expects immediate feedback after a mutation. Now, unlike revalidateTag, updateTag will expire and refresh immediately. It's instant. So it's perfect for actions where users expect to see their updates right away, which is incredible that this exists because I know it was a complaint that many of my students taking my Next.js course had. because they just wanted to see updates right away, and now you could do so. Next, we have the refresh API. This is again a new server actions only API for refreshing uncached data only. It does not touch the cache at all. For example, this would be useful in cases where you have notification badges, maybe add to cart counts, live metrics, unread counts, data that isn't cached but displayed alongside cached content. You would use something like this. For example, you want to update the notification in the database, and you want to refresh the notification count displayed in the header, which is fetched separately and not cached. In that case, you could use refresh function. This API is complementary to the client-side router refresh. So for example, if you want to do this server-side, you could do so, versus on the client-side, you would do router.refresh itself. Now, this does not touch the cache at all. It only refreshes live uncached data. So your static shell stays fast while just the dynamic bits update. So keep that in mind. Now, remember, I told you that there is one API that I know is going to be a game changer for me. And it is, in fact, the caching API, the update tag itself. Now, I wanted to use a specific update tag API because I wanted to immediately get rid of the cache, refresh the cache, especially when a student completes a specific lesson in my course platform. They go and press the button, mark as completed. Now, I really just wanted to update the cache right away, upload the tick mark right away so they know that the lesson has been completed, so I can route them right away. And this specific feature really allows me to do so. The mark the lesson completed button does a lot. So I could just leverage this feature and instantly ask the user to navigate to the next route while running all the other features in the background with the Next.js after function. Now, if you don't know what after function is, I would highly recommend you to check out this specific video. This API is going to be a game changer for sure. The next API is the build adapters API. If you want to deploy your Next.js app to your own infra and customize your build steps, such as run Cloudflare workers, transform, upload assets to S3 is a very common one, all of that, then you could use the build adapters API for doing so. So for example, over here, it will allow you to create custom adapters that hook into the build process. You can define your file here, adapter file, and then pass in the adapter path over here. This will allow you to deploy your application wherever you like, and you're not necessarily tied to one specific provider. So think of build adapters as a plug and play adapters for deployment. Netlify, Cloudflare, or your internal platform can hook directly into it. It is quite but a massive move. Next.js is truly becoming modular with this change. The next really big update is enhanced routing. Now, Next.js in 16 includes a complete overhaul of routing and navigation systems, making page transitions linear and faster. Now, this is a complaint that a lot of us had in the community, that when you click a link, it doesn't feel instant, even though the link is not doing much. Now, one of them is layout deduplication. For example, whenever in the past, when prefetching multiple URLs with a shared layout, the layout is downloaded once instead of separately for each link. Now, let's say a page with 50 product links now downloads the shared layouts once instead of 50 times, drastically reducing the network transfer size. For example, in my course platform, I have a bunch of links. Instead of the layout being downloaded several times, it's just going to be downloaded once and cached, which is awesome. Incremental prefetching. This means smaller, smarter network requests. Next.js only prefetches parts not already in the cache rather than entire pages. For example, now it's going to look at caches. The prefetched cache now cancels a request when the link leaves the viewport, prioritizes link prefetching on hover or when entering viewport, and refetches links when their data is invalidated, and it works seamlessly with the cache components. Now, if you think about it, taking a step back, cache components is where we are all headed, which is why all these changes incrementally are towards that. Now, the trade-off here is that you may see more prefetch requests, but with lower total transfer sizes, which means less of a bundle, but more requests in general. It is going to be very useful for the course platform that I've built and for my students taking the Modern Full Stack Next.js course, because they're going to find navigation quite instant. And if you see, it was actually quite instant. And that's basically because I've actually upgraded my custom course platform to Next.js 16, which is awesome. Like I mentioned about cache components, Next.js 16 now removes the experimental PPR flag, that is partial pre-rendering flag, and PPR is in fact being integrated into cache components. Now, you can opt into PPR using the specific configuration, but you can no longer rely when you upgrade to Next.js 16 for the specific PPR flag. You have to change your flag essentially. So that there are differences in the implementation, and cache components bring additional features and behaviors that will be documented and announced ahead of the Next.js Con. That means it's very soon. So I'm really excited because I'll be in California for that. But this is incredible because you now get cache components, which is amazing, which is huge. But now you get PPR into it, which also makes a lot of sense because partial pre-rendering loads your static content and the dynamic content gets streamed in. With it being coupled with cache components, it can then figure out what to cache, what not to cache, and so on. So this is amazing. This unlocks a lot. And if you don't know what cache components are, then definitely check out my post on use cache. It's completely free and you can definitely go check it out. I'll link it down in the description below as well. Next.js 16 also uses the latest canary release from React, which is React 19.2. You have to definitely check out the specific video if you haven't already on React 19.2 features that you absolutely need to know about. And it has view transitions, use effective and activity. I have some more videos dropping very soon on this, but definitely check out the React 19.2 video. Next.js 16 uses that as a canary release. And lastly, there are also some breaking changes. However, the ones you need to be aware of is that the Node version has changed. TypeScript 5 Plus is now the minimum version. There are a few deprecated commands here. There are a few behavioral changes and so on. The thing you need to be aware of is if you're using revalidateTag, then it has an additional property you need to be aware of. Builder file is now been renamed to proxy to clarify network boundary and routing focus. This is amazing because middleware, the name itself was not the best. So this makes it even clear what this file does, but this means that you would have to rename your middleware file. So definitely keep that in mind as you upgrade. And partial pre-rendering are evolving into cache components, so that flag is no longer available as well, so keep that in mind. And that's it. These are all the changes in Next.js 16 beta that has been out, but I'm sure there are quite a few features that are going to drop closer to the Next.js Con in less than 2 weeks. So keep an eye out on my channel for more updates related to the Next.js release. So I plan to even drop a course on Next.js 16, which is going to be free. So keep an eye out on that and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. As next steps, I definitely recommend you to check out this React 19.2 video, which goes hand in hand with Next.js 16 beta. So you are aware of all the React 19.2 features in Next.js 16. So thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.